ESPN always would have the voiceover guy say, "What to watch for?" And then they'd tell you, PTI is coming on at 2:30, but those days are over. So with the 49ers opening up training camp to the media on Thursday, May 29th for the first time, I want to tell you three things that over the next few months matter the most to me for the 49ers. And I think number one, I'm just going to say it's getting lost a little bit, and it really matters. And that's not, is Christian McCaffrey going to make it 17 games? We won't know that answer for several months. Is Christian McCaffrey going to stay healthy in the season? We won't know that answer for several months. But the answer in the next few months we could get is, how does he look? How fast is he? Is he explosive? Forget about if he's healthy, then they're great. It's if he's healthy, what is he? He looked good when he came back from the bilateral Achilles tendonitis last year, but then he had the PCL injury, and he's a year older, and he's an all-time, among all-timers, he's an all-time take care of your body guy, but he plays running back, and running backs age prematurely. So I hate to start with a downer, but it is at the front of my mind more than who is the left guard going to be, more than who is receiver 2? Is Ayuk going to be back week 1 or week 5? Number one is, which Christian McCaffrey is it? Before you even get to will he be healthy? I saw Coach Yak, who nobody finds it's better than the RSS app I have that gets me all the Niners news. Christian McCaffrey, 7th in PFF's running back rankings, from Trevor Sikkema, who wrote, "We don't need to tell you how good McCaffrey is when healthy. He owns a 91 cumulative PFF rush grade over the past 3 years, led all running backs in PFF WAR. All of his fully healthy seasons have yielded incredibly high volume and efficiency numbers. But 2024 riddled with injury, 4 games with a calf, Achilles knee. He'll be 29. Like, to me, it's not, well, it's all of his healthy seasons have yielded incredibly high volume and efficiency numbers. We know a healthy McCaffrey this year would yield, to sound like PFF guy, high volume. Would it yield efficiency? Would he be as explosive? Last year, understandably, it wasn't. So is he fully healthy? And then look, if some crazy stuff happens week 5, that's awful, but that's separate. If you get him for 15 games, is he the guy that carries an offense? That's number one for me. And we won't fully have that answer, but we will get, I think, getting eyes on him, we'll get a little bit of that. Because the one thing you get with Christian is he practices really, really, really hard. When he hits all, nobody can tackle him, but that's okay. I don't need to know. Jordan James, I don't know in practice how he'll do when people can tackle him. I know what Christian does when people can tackle him. What does he look like from an explosiveness standpoint? Because he goes 100%. He goes 100% in practice. So that, I doubt he'll play a preseason game, so we won't get that. Maybe we'll get a series, but I wouldn't. But that's number one. That is number one. I think it gets buried a little bit for people. It is number one for me. Number two, and this is not like the ultimate in order list. I'm just trying to maybe have a little bit of a different list. There's other things we can debate these, but we know that player development is a big deal for the guys from year 1 to year 2, like Jacob Cowing last year. Dominic Pooney, would love him to get better, but baseline pretty good. And then the rookies, like, how much better can they get from now until the season? Can they be ready to contribute? Micah Williams, is he ready to start right away? Alfred Collins, can he be ready to just really contribute right away? But to me, there's another element to it, which is like the competitive development. This is the stuff you can watch for in the next couple of months before the season starts. For the fans who come out, this is what you're watching for. And what I mean by it is, I think about Diamador Lenor, and for those of you watching on YouTube, I'll put up the video of Diamador. I think about Diamador Lenor. Brad of the SF Niners has it on his YouTube channel. The Niners got fined Diamador Lenor's rookie year because he posted practice video. That wasn't what got him fined. What got him fined was the practice video showed that he was practicing in rookie camp harder than you're supposed to, jamming guys at the line of scrimmage, getting physical. The team got fined $100,000. Kyle Shanahan got fined $50,000. I would love to go to practice and see Renardo Green and Ricky Pearsall going a one-on-one with each other harder than you're supposed to. Or Jacob Cowing taking it a little too far after the whistle blows. Or something like that, right? You want to see guys practicing, and it's not just apply to the rookies and second-year guys, but you want to see this team acting like they were a 6-win team last year. And that's not who they are, and we got to prove that's not who we are. And the only way we do that, iron sharpens iron, right? Not it was 6 wins last year, but all this stuff went wrong, and we just got to roll the ball out, be who we are, and then it's 11 wins. It does not work unless you take it personal. And I know like Fred Warner, I already know. I don't need to see it. By the time you're listening to this, maybe I'm telling you Fred Warner started a fight on Thursday. I don't know. You know who did that? Brandon Ayuk has done that. Brandon Ayuk and Fred Warner got into it a couple years ago. Ayuk's not going to be out there yet. And so I just think there is some of that. That first of all, the rookies, the second-year guys, they haven't accomplished what George Kittle's accomplished. They haven't accomplished what Fred Warner's accomplished. So they need to have a little more. And then those guys need to set the tone. Like last year was embarrassing. And yes, there's a lot of reasons for it, but regardless, that can't happen again. So it's competitive development. And it's too bad Malik Mustafa's not out there. Maybe he'd be a guy. Right. And so part of that is like, hey, Nick Martin, he's number 3. And that's kind of an easy one. I've got a couple more bonus ones. Nick Martin's number 3. They need him. They need him to be like Alfred Collins. What they need him to be eventually is not what they need him to be right away. If I could pick outside of Mykel Williams, one rookie who's ready to roll week 1, it has to be Nick Martin. Because as bad as they were against the run last year, the drop-off from Fred Warner to linebacker 2 is just, it's a cliff. It's a cliff. And they need it to not be a cliff because that makes a guy an easy target. And look, here's the other thing. As easy as the Niners schedule appears to be, if you can't stop the run, it gets immediately harder. Because even teams without a quarterback, like I'm thinking of the Colts. They came to my mind today. The Colts have a quarterback competition. In the whole, well, don't just, don't pay Brock Purdy, because you'd rather, ideally you could draft a guy. The Colts drafted Anthony Richardson, number 1 overall, 2 years ago, 2023. And he got hurt in year 1. He'd been hurt. He only played 11 games in year 2. And already they're like, you know what? Daniel Jones is going to compete with Anthony Richardson. So you look at the Colts, you go, they stink. What if, though, you play the Colts and Tyler Warren's balling and the quarterback's good enough, whether it's Daniel Jones, both quarterbacks can run, and they have one of the best players, they're running back, one of the best players in the league. So what if they can really run the ball and you can't stop the run? And Daniel Jones breaks off a 50-yarder because they're just running option, him or Anthony Richardson, and Jonathan Taylor goes for 125. Like that world exists. You got to stop the run. And if you don't, your schedule gets a lot harder. So there's that. Now a couple bonus ones. Coming up next week and the week after, your boy, I'm headed to Italy on Saturday. Rome, Florence, Capri. You can send me all your recommendations to guy@heyguy.co. But The podcast, the YouTube channel will be firing because we've put in the work and Connor's put in the work. And we've got, I think, some stuff you're really going to like, including a breakdown of, I know this doesn't sound sexy, but Connor has edited his balls off. Is the 49ers offensive line good enough? I go deep with offensive line expert Jeff Schwartz and player development, Conor Colby, 7th round offensive lineman out of Iowa. This is part of the bigger piece and the longer interview with Jeff coming up end of next week. But I thought what he said about Conor Colby was really interesting and applies here as we're talking about player development.
You can figure out how to pass protect, right? If you have one thing that's good, you can spend a lot of time working on the other thing, which is good. It's a good start for him to have. Pass protection, by the way, is a problem for most offensive linemen. I mean, it's just when you watch college film, I know you do as well, there's just not a lot of true pass protection reps. You just can't find it. There's just not a lot of true pass protection sets. I argue with people all the time when it comes to draft season. They're like, 27% of this guy's pass sets were true. I'm like, do you watch the same film I watch? There's like 7 a game. What are we talking about that are true pass protection? So that's a problem guy for everyone. So it's about traits, right? Do you have the traits to learn how to pass protect? And do you have the capability to be able to make that transition quickly? There's a problem for everyone.
We know the Niners love to run the ball. So I think there's on the video, there is part of me from that. We did a nice little piece here on the offensive line. Is the Niners offensive line scapegoats or not? But I think watching Conor Colby with that, just watch him with that in mind. I just want you to watch him with that in mind. Whatever media you consume from the Thursday and then there's 2 open practices next week. Just think about Conor Colby with that in mind. Jeff is saying Jeff played in the NFL. He's saying, hey, you can get on the field before you're ready to pass block because this is a challenge for everybody. So there's more coming on that, and I think you'll enjoy. This is a very off the radar kind of development. Not off the radar, but it's just not going to be on most people's lists. I find Mac Jones interesting because for a couple of reasons. Unless Robert Saleh gets a job in 2026 as a head coach, which he could, I think there's a greater possibility for Mac Jones than there was for Sam Darnold that Mac is on the 49ers for 2 years. Because he's less talented than Sam was. So there's less people out there who are like, Sam Darnold, Mac Jones, he gets another shot. Now, it didn't take much for Darnold. Didn't take much playing time for Darnold to get another shot. He got it and he made the most of it. But I do think there's the possibility that for Mac Jones, he's around for a couple of years, unless, as I said, he's slicing up the defense every time he gets an opportunity in practice, and then Robert Saleh takes him somewhere because he gets a job in 2026, which, again, I think Robert Saleh is going to be a head coach again. Generally, defensive coaches, you get your shot. The odds are probably not in his favor if we look historically, but I expect it to happen, in the next 3 years. And it's probably more likely to happen after 1 year than after, 5 years. But it could be a couple. But I think Mac Jones finding his place as a guy who still wants to be a starter but can be helpful is interesting. There's no debate about who the Niners' number 1 quarterback is, obviously. But Brock Purdy has been hurt before, and the Niners have needed their backup quarterback before. And I think they upgraded at backup quarterback. I think he's the best backup that Brock's had since he became the starter, potentially. Well, I guess he had Sam Darnold. So I don't think I think Darnold's better. But I think he is much closer to Darnold than he is to Brandon Allen or Josh Dobbs. Brock's only been the starter for 2 years, so any declarative statement about who's it's the best since he's had it, and I was wrong anyway. But I think the Niners, there is a real likelihood that we will, if you're a team that's fighting for the division, fighting for a playoff spot, you could play one game that really matters with a backup quarterback, and so Mac Jones acclimating quickly is really important. That's really important. And then the other bonus development, it's just Ayuk. Ayuk's emotional. Is he working to get back week 1? Do they think he can get back week 1? Next week, I've got a conversation with Cam Inman about this. Can Brandon Ayuk be back week 1? Also, in the next couple of weeks, Ross Tucker is coming on the show. PJ Fleck, the coach of Minnesota, who played for the 40. Some of the OG hardcore 49er fans remember that PJ Fleck was a 49ers receiver. He's an incredible. I think he manages a game really well. And so we talk about that, among other things, as well as system quarterbacks. Really, I really like it. I think you guys will really like it. I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think you'd really like it. Because some of you are going to go, the Minnesota football coach, I'm an NFL fan, or whatever. You'll like it. Just that's coming up. But anyway, the Ayuk thing, like him returning to being a borderline number 1 guy, very important. So where's his head at? Is he around all the time? Is he away? Hopefully he's around. I think that's important. I saw this from this report from Wednesday from Commanders camp. Somebody, one of the reports was this. I'll read it to you. Deebo Samuel. Let me see if I can get it bigger. Deebo Samuel's gelling well with his new receiver teammates and was routinely at the front of the line for individual drills. He and Jane Daniels didn't connect much, but it's clear that they're developing their rapport. Daniels aired out a pass to Samuel, who had a step on the defender near the front corner of the end zone. Although it resulted in an incompletion, it was a good sign of what could be in the duo's future. I want to be careful, not because I care about being careful, but I do think it's important not to be like totally flippant and dismissive. Deebo was so valuable to them, and I enjoyed watching him practice. But I just smiled because if you know me, that I said this happened all the time in Niners practice. They'd be like, once I was convinced, I have no reason to think this other than just watching it for several years, that there was this unofficial thing in Kyle's head where he was like, just to make Deebo happy, once a practice, I'm going to throw him a deep ball. That I would always felt that way to me because it almost never hit. But like once a practice, they'd try. Just, what the hell? We may try this in a game. And it never worked. So I just laughed seeing this. Now, everyone's betting on Jaden. And so Deebo doesn't have to be that guy. It's not his thing. Deebo not catching deep balls has nothing to do with whether or not Deebo Samuel is going to be an effective player. It's not how he's effective. So it doesn't really matter. But I wish I could get all those guys on the phone and be like, hey, just so you know, that's going to happen every day. And it's going to be okay. It's no bearing on whether or not he's good enough. There was a reply here from a guy named Christopher who said, being an Niner fan, Deebo could still serve a purpose, but I don't believe he's done. But going deep ain't it. I would also watch his weight. Good little tip there. Yeah, that's funny. I do think Deebo's still a receiver. This goes back to my doom scrolling little segment we did the other day where you just scroll through stuff. Anyway, I saw that. John Dickinson sent me that. He's like, you're going to get a kick out of this. And you know what? I did.